Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, so today we're putting together a little odds and ends video for you. I've got stuff stacking up once again here in the shop, and we need to kind of clean things out over here and give credit where credit is due on some of this stuff. So today I got a mixture of some purchases that I've made for the shop. Many of them through some viewers out there. I've got some viewer mail and gifts that have come into the shop, and just some new acquisitions in general. Also got some news and some requests from you guys that I'm going to be going over as well. So let's just jump into this. So first off, I like to let people know when there are events coming up that people might want to attend. And again, this fall, we're going to be having our annual ARNFest event. That's ARNFEST. ARN is kind of a play on word for iron. And this is something that's been going on, I think, since 2005, if I remember right. And I think I've been to all of them. It actually started over on the old woodworking machines discussion forum. And it's just an event where people, mostly on that discussion forum, but a lot of other people have gotten involved with it over the years as well, get together, have an event together, have a lot of fun. There's a swap meet that they do. There's usually some demos and some touring opportunities around the site that we're at, etc. And it is a really good time. And it's an event that I look forward to going to every year. This year, ARNFest is going to be held September 21st through 24th. Once again, as it has been every year, we're going to be holding that event at the Illinois Railway Museum in Union, Illinois, which is just west of the Chicago area, kind of on the very outskirts of Chicago, I'd say, kind of between Chicago and Rockford. And great museum there, some really cool train stuff, everything from steam to diesel electric to trolleys to cars, the passenger cars and freight cars and everything else. It's one of the largest railroad museums in the country, and very impressive collection there. And I always enjoy going to it, if for nothing else, just to be able to look at the railroading stuff, because as you guys know, I'm into particularly steam railroading. Last couple of years, they've actually had their steam locomotive up and running at that event. For many years, they were working on restoring stuff, but I can't say for certain that that'll be going on. You can probably go to the Illinois Railway Museum website and see what their plans are, but more than likely, they'll probably have that going on, at least on that Saturday. If you are interested in coming to, excuse me, the ARNFest event, you do need to register for it, and you can go to their website at arnfest.com, and you can get the information. Now, I checked a while ago. The dates are on there, again, September 21st through 24th. However, the registration was not quite yet open. I did want to go ahead and get it mentioned to folks in case you wanted to put it on your calendar. Can't believe it is only about a little over 2 months away. It's coming up real quick. It seems like that's a long way off, but it will be here before we know it. So anyway, ARNFest event I always look forward to, and I always get to see a lot of viewers at, and on Saturday morning at the swap meet, usually there are some good deals to be had. So anyway, hope to see some of you there. Number two, not so much an event that I'm going to, but something I would like to kind of arrange if possible. I'm not 100% certain right now. It looks like I may be making a trip out to the Denver, Colorado area sometime between now and this fall. I don't even have a date firmed up. I'm not even 100% sure it's going to happen. But if that trip happens for me, I'm going to probably try to stay over the weekend. And one thing that I have always wanted to do is visit the Georgetown Loop Railroad, a narrow gauge railroad right outside of the Denver area. And what I'd really like to do is kind of be able to get into their shop and get a tour of their shop, be able to do a video tour, kind of like we did at the Southern California Railway Museum. I would really like to be able to do that. So my ask is if anybody out there watching the channel is connected to that museum, and I know I have a lot of guys from railroad museums and stuff that are viewers, or if you have an in or know somebody over there, I would appreciate maybe getting connected and see if that would be a possibility to maybe get in there and do a video tour of their steam locomotive repair shops. I'm not even sure what they have there. Never been there. And if the trip works out and I get to go, I definitely want to experienced riding the train there as well. And yes, I know there are other attractions in Colorado, like the Durango and Silverton and some of the other ones that I would love to be able to get out to. Like if this trip to Denver works out, it's just going to be real convenient to go hit that one. And I will probably go up there even if I don't um, have an end to the shop, just because I want to go do it. But I would love to be able to do that. So again, ask for you guys in that area that may have some connections or may be involved with that organization. Would love that opportunity if it's a possibility. Third thing, another request, and this is something for my shop that I've been kind of thinking about for a while and been looking for some stuff on auction websites and what have you, and just haven't been able to find exactly what I'm looking for. So put the word out. So I am wanting to, outside the front door of my shop where my roll-up door is I've got a little concrete pad out there. I'm wanting to put in a little bit larger pad, have a covered area kind of built onto the front of the shop. But what I would really love to be able to do is to put an overhead crane in that area, like a little small bridge crane in that area. I really would love to have something that I could pick up around 10,000 pounds. This about 18 feet wide, which is small for a bridge crane, I know, probably 20, 25 feet long, something like that. Not a huge thing, but if anybody knows of something like that that's out there that could be had, again, I'd appreciate it. I've been looking for some options there. You know, I could just put a gantry crane like the one I have in the shop, you know, get a little bit bigger one to put out there, but I would really like to have that overhead crane if I could work something like that out. You know, find an old one that's being taken out of service somewhere, purchase it and kind of fit it in out here. So again, putting some feelers out. Several years ago, when right about the time I was building the shop, I actually had a gentleman from Middle Georgia that was in the crane business, came down here, and we talked a little bit about trying to put something in the shop, and it just never did materialize or work out. And unfortunately, I've lost my contact information for that individual. So again, if you're watching, you know who you are. Give me a holler. You should still have my contact information. You can always get me by my email address. And email is the best way to get in contact with me if anybody ever needs to get in contact with me. And right down here, guys, see it? It pops up at the front of every video. So that's the best way to get a hold of me. So anyway, there's just a couple little news items. Let's go over here. We're going to get into the odds and ends and kind of show you the stuff that's coming in the shop. Up first is actually a purchase that I made for the shop, and this is some parts I needed for my Kearney Trekker Model K universal dividing head that I have. I picked that up a while back when I was doing spiral gears. I needed to have the right one for my mill machine. I've been using a Model H dividing head for years. I got a full set of plates for it, but the Model K is what I really needed to fit my machine. And when I got it, it came with one plate on it. And when I say one plate, on the Model K dividing head is a little bit different than the Model H. It's actually double-sided. So you see it's actually two plates that are kind of together. And so you've got two plates in one. So I guess you could say there's really 6 plates, but they come in 3 sets of 2. Anyway, when I got my dividing head, it had one of the plates on it. It was missing the other 2 plates, did not have the other 2 plates. And I've already ran into a situation where I didn't have the right plate that I needed for cutting a gear. And I had to go put the Model H dividing head on the mill to cut that gear. When I was up in Pennsylvania visiting Barry Stoop, we picked up the big, huge lot of literature to be scanned for the website he was basically selling off his business, retiring. And we were able to pick through and really get a lot of good stuff for the site. He was having a big auction, and I found in there a set of plates for a Model K dividing head. I knew exactly what they were when I saw them, and I was able to get these plates from Barry and get them back down here to me. So anyway, on these, when I picked them up, I noticed that there were 3 plates. I'm like, man, there's a full set of plates. I got to look them a little bit closer. 2 of them were the same. So this is the 97 to 33 hole plate on one side and the 99 to 56 hole plate on the other side. These 2 are the same. So basically it had 2 of the 3 of the total set plus a duplicate. Well, I didn't know which plate I had. I had a 1 in 3 chance that I would have the plate that I had was the plate that was missing, or also had a 1 in 3 chance, I guess, that the plate that I had was the duplicate, and I'd have two duplicates, or two duplicates of this one. I got home, and luckily the plate that I had was the one that's not represented in this. So it was a really good score for me. These look like brand spanking new plates. They don't look like they've ever been used. Usually you can kind of see some ridges around these holes where they were used on a production job, and you see some wear. I don't see any of that on these plates. So very happy to get this. This kind of completes out that dividing head as far as being able to do whatever hole pattern I need. And also got an extra one here. So if somebody is needing one of these, again, shoot me an email. That email address pops up at the front of my videos, and I'd be willing to sell someone one of them. This was a purchase. This wasn't a gift, so I do have some money in these, and but I'm willing to let one of these go if somebody needs it. And while we're talking about dividing heads, another item I picked up from my Model K dividing head is this centering plug that came from John Germain up in Oregon. John had helped me out in the past finding some miscellaneous parts and pieces for my K&T mills. He's got a couple of machinery dealers up there that he has dealt with, and he was kind enough to go dig through there and look for some stuff for me a while back, and I was able to find some stuff that I needed. Greatly appreciated. He got a lot. I'm not sure the exact story, but he told me he had no use for it, and wanted to send it to me. And what this is a centering plug for that same Model K dividing head. On the dividing head right now, there's a chuck that's mounted on the end, but if you take that chuck off, there's a taper up inside that this fits up into. There's a screw that goes on the back, or a nut that goes on the back. I don't have, but I can make one. That's no big deal. But this basically allows you to put I believe a number 4 Morse taper in there that you could use as a center if you were doing something between centers. There's also a dog plate, and I've actually got a dog plate for this. I need to go dig that up and make sure it fits. I'm not sure if that one fits a Model H or a Model K, but I do have a dog plate. I'm pretty sure that will fit this centering plug, and that would allow me to do between centers if I didn't want to use the chuck for some reason. So again, just something nice to have if I ever need it. And John, thank you for sending that to me. Like I said, he picked it up, had no need for it, and was kind enough to share it with me, to send it along to me as a gift. Up next, I got a collection of some end mills and tooling that was sent in by a viewer. This came from Ed Vig. Ed told me that he is a retired airline pilot. Now he stays at home and works in his shop and plays with his toys. He told me a while back at an auction he purchased a bunch of cutters, and some of the stuff was just too big to fit anything that he had, and was looking to find a home for it. So there's a bunch of end mills in here, probably resharpened end mills, I'm guessing. Some of the stuff may be new, I'm not exactly sure, but nonetheless, a bunch of tooling. These are just some individually wrapped end mills that I'll have to go through. This is a shell mill. That's definitely been reground. It's sharp though, that's the main thing. So anyway, some tooling that he had no use for, that was too big for him to use. He knew that it would probably fit on some of my larger machines, and he was kind enough to fit as much as he could into a flat rate box and send them over to me. And Ed, thank you very much. I will get these sorted out. I've got a tool cabinet over there where I keep this kind of stuff in it, and we'll get it over there. And you know, when I have a need for something like this, it's just nice to go pull it off the shelf and be able to use it and not have to go, you know, buy special tooling for, you know, one-off jobs or something. So thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. Up next, another gift. This came from Charles Steyerhoff, and Charles made a comment in one on recent video where I was, I think, spraying something. I think I was spraying some degreaser on my press when I was doing it. I was using just a little squirt bottle that you pump, and he said, "You need one of these." This is a little pump up sprayer that you can put stuff in. You just pump it up and you can spray it on there. They're really handy. I've actually used these before. You can actually hear the air coming out where I pumped it just those few times. So he actually went to Amazon and had this drop shipped to me. I was not really expecting it, but anyway, I greatly appreciate it. And it is definitely something that we can use when we're using the degreaser. Sure beats having to pull that handle 500 times while you're trying to spray something out. Thank you, sir. Some more tooling here. This comes from Lance Baltzley. Lance is, if you've watched the channel very long, you probably have met Lance on my channel as well as Adam Booth's channel. Friend of both of ours, lives down in the Gainesville, Florida area. Veterinarian down there and has a really nice shop. I was down in Gainesville a while back, maybe a month or so ago, and met up with Lance, stopped by his shop and just visited with him. And while I was there, he gave me some of his tooling. Again, this stuff was a little bit too large to fit some of his machines, and this was something that he had picked up. I'm not sure the story on, but some really nice cutters. This stuff is, I think, been resharpened. This one here is solid carbide. It's a 3-flute end mill, and what's really cool about it is that, well, this one doesn't have it on there, but I guess maybe this one does. It actually says Beretta on there. Where he got them from, the guy got this actually came from the factory where they make Beretta firearms, and I think they changed some production or whatever, and some of this tooling they weren't using anymore. I don't know exactly how he picked it up at an auction or whatever, but that one was actually marked Beretta. This larger one is actually marked Beretta. This one is just marked Superior, but some of this was actually some custom tooling, I believe, that was made for Beretta for some of their, again, firearm manufacturing processes. But we can use it on whatever. So a roughing end mill, again, I believe this one is you got carbide teeth on it, and this one just looks like a big high-speed steel cutter. But anyway, Lance, thank you very much. Again, nice to have this stuff around. Really comes in handy. So next items here are some things I picked up out at the Barzy Summer Bash when I was out in California a month or so ago, out at Stan Zinkaski's big party that he has every year. I flew out there and flew back, so I was really kind of limited on what I could carry back with me. In fact, I actually had this piece shipped back to me, but I did bring a couple of items back from that trip, and these were just some things I picked up. So first off, this little thing here, this was given to me by Randy Richards. Randy's, of course, a YouTuber, has Randy Richard in the Shop YouTube channel. And this is just something that he made out in his shop. And it's a little knocker, that's what I call it. If you're ever on the lathe or something, you got something you need to kind of tap to make a little fine adjustment to it. This is something you can do it without damaging it. You got brass on one end and you got plastic on the other. It's got enough mass to move it around like a hammer without actually damaging everything. A lot of times I use a lead hammer. This is a little bit lighter weight, but really good for making those little fine adjustments. So again, just something he made, and he was kind enough to give me one. This here is which you put a grinding disc on a big surface grinder. You can pop these hubs off and on. And I got this from Dale Derry, again, another YouTuber, Make Something Cool our YouTube channel. And I sent him some stuff in the mail, and he sent me some stuff in the mail. I was hoping that this was going to fit my Thompson grinder that I have now, but it is a little bit large for that one. Although I may have a machine that this will fit, I need to do some checking. But this has basically got a taper hub on one end that you can put it on to something, and you pull this piece off, and your grinding wheel fits up in that little groove, and you tighten this up, and it's got some little balancing things. You can move these around, so if your wheel's out of balance, you can actually balance the wheel by, it's kind of like wheel weights on a car. You can move them around. Right now they're, in a way where they're going to stay balanced, but if the wheel's heavy on one side, you can move these around to adjust some things. So anyway, not sure that I'm going to be able to use this, but hopefully going to be able to use this down the road. The other items here were some stuff I picked up at the swap meet from Philip Smith, and I actually bought 2 sets of these Brown & Sharp calipers from him. And I really like these Brown & Sharp calipers. I know you mostly see me use Starrett's. I've got a set of Brown and Sharps just like these that I keep in my office. And they're not out in the shop. They're actually up at the house where my computer is, because I'm often up there needing something to measure something. I'm doing a drawing or fiddling around with something on the computer and just need to measure something. But when I was working in the machine shop back in the late 1980s, my boss actually purchased a set of Brown and Sharp calipers like this and gave me a set to use in the shop, because I needed a set of calipers. And he told me they were mine. Whenever I left, I could take them with me. I've still got that same set of calipers that I got from my old boss, Virgil Williams, way back. That was probably about 1986 or 7. I mean, it's been that long ago. And they've always been a favorite of mine. Like I said, I haven't had a set out here in the shop, but I really like them. And Philip had a couple of these for sale. This is the little bit older model, which I kind of like a little bit better. This one is basically the same, but the dial's a little bit different on it, or the crystal's a little bit different. It's got a little bit different wording on the dial, but they're basically the same caliper. But anyway, I picked up 2 sets of these from him, and I'm going to start using some of these out in the shop a little bit more, because I just like them. I just like them. So there you go. That was what we picked up at Summer Bash. Next, I got some square head bolts and some hex nuts that came in from Lynn Winkler up in Wilmington, Delaware. He told me he found these. I think he said it was in some stuff from his grandfather. And I believe these square heads are actually new old stock. I don't think they've ever been used. These look like they probably were recycled off of something. But he asked me if I wanted them. I said, old original square head hardware. I mean, I can buy new stuff, but it doesn't have the same look as some of the old stuff. I really like this, and even though there's a little bit of rust on it, they'll clean up just fine. But I use this in restoration stuff all the time. So anyway, he had a few of them, sent them along to me. I'm going to put these over in my hardware cabinet, and I'm sure they'll get used at some point in time. Anyway, thanks a lot for sending those. So up next, we got some literature that was sent in to be scanned for the website. This comes from Mark Zimmerman in Texas. He sent along a really nice copy of a South Bend lathe catalog number 100, dated 1939, about South Bend lathes, something that's always very popular out there. I don't know if we already have this scanned up on the website or not, but if we don't, this is a really, really nice publication that really features all the lathes that South Bend made, and we'll get this scanned and put up soon if it's not already there. These South Bend lathes, man, they were really nice little machines back in the day. They were extremely common, very often used in schools and smaller shops and stuff. It was a fairly inexpensive lathe compared to, something like a Monarch or a Lodge and Shipley or something like that. But they were still well-made machines, and, back during World War II, there's no telling how many parts that were made on these things for the war effort, because they could get them. People were literally coming home at night and working in their garage or their basement, using these little lathes, making stuff for the war effort. Just unbelievable production on them. And lots of these have survived, and very popular in the restoration world, very popular in the home machine shop to this day. If there was a downside to them, the ways on them, on most models, some of them they were, but on the vast majority of them, they were not hardened. So on some of these machines that saw a lot of use, those ways would wear out over time. I still see plenty of them out there where the ways are just fine, but sometimes you'll find one that's just, really been used a lot over the years, and it'll have some wear. You can actually see in the catalogs where they got the scraping marks on there where they hand scraped those in back when they were new. Anyway, very nice catalog. Thanks, Mark, for sending those along. Also, picked up this. This is from Lonnie Geek, I think is how he's got that written there, from Carlton, Oregon, a belting manual. So this is leather belting or flat belting, so a manual on how to do it. I really like this because it's got a bunch of the true lacings. Back in the day before they had the metal lacing like we use now, the reason it's called lacing is they actually use leather lacing and they would stitch them together by hand. And it shows you how to do that for different patterns. I've actually done that on some old leather belts before where we hand laced. But this is all about leather belting, everything you need to know about um, flat belting and stuff. So anyway, that's really cool. I know I don't have that, so that's a really nice, nice little reference item to have. And Lonnie, thanks for sending that along. A couple of weeks ago when we had our little work day out here and had a bunch of people come in, I actually had some guys that brought some things and dropped off here, and that's basically what we got represented on the table here. So first off, from Gary Wycliffe, this is just a wooden box. He wasn't sure exactly what was in it originally. I think it was for some lapping plates, actually, I think is what he told me. That's what it looks like. That goes there. Didn't have the lapping plates, but had the box. He brought that along in case I could use it for something. Don Hasselbach, who stayed and actually helped me on the 10EE lathe and some other stuff. He's actually stayed a couple extra days. He brought this, so I got the little Starrett machinist level here. This is the smallest one they made. It originally would have been black. Someone painted it blue, but it doesn't matter. It works. We need to check the calibration on it, but it's in great shape. He also had this little magnetic chuck. You can just move that little back and forth, and it turns the mag plate on here. So this is also something that's handy. You know, you got something like this on a surface grinder, but sometimes you just need to mag something down flat to work on it. You know, when I'm scraping like a gib or something, it's nice to have a little magnet like this that you can put this in a vise and just chuck that on flat onto it and be able to scrape it and be able to hold it. And then Glenn Up brought this little motor starter here, so I hadn't even opened it up to look and see exactly what's in here. Okay, so this is a motor starter. Looks like a 220 volt single phase. Got 2 heaters in here. So if you don't know what this is, you could wire this thing up. There's a coil in here that you can put a remote switch on and basically turn a machine on and off. So whenever you hit the button, the coils would close. It would energize the voltage through this, and then you hit a stop button and it would open the coil and shut it off. You got heaters down here, so this is overload protection. You could change out these little elements in here depending on how many amps your motor was rated for. And if for some reason your motor was drawing too many amps, it would trip these out, kind of like a circuit breaker, and it would turn the switch off. That's what the reset button is for, is if you had to reset it after it tripped from overheating. So anyway, very nice. I don't have many single phase motor starters. I've got a few 3-phase ones, but it's nice to have this stuff again when I'm working on restoring a machine. And you know, I can always buy a modern motor starter and put on them, but if I'm restoring a vintage machine, it's nice to be able to put a vintage motor starter on there. So very nice to have that. So I also brought in during the work weekend, Johnny Shockley had contacted me a while ago and asked if I had any use for a headstock and tailstock off of a reed printed lathe. I said, no, I don't, but somebody out there may need some parts off of it. So during my event, he actually had Stephen Smith, who was coming down. He brought these down and we unloaded them and put them in his shop. So what we got here is the headstock off of a reed printed lathe. I'm not sure what model. And we also have the tailstock. I think they were scrapping the lathe out or something was wrong with the lathe. I don't know, but he managed to save this. Let me get an idea what the swing was on that. Let me get a tape measure. So that is about an 8-inch diameter from there to the waist. So that would be what, about a 16-inch swing. It might be rated a little bit smaller than that. I haven't opened up the top to see if all the gears are intact or what have you. But again, if somebody needs any of these parts, let me know, and we'll see if we can't work something out. I have no need for any of that stuff, but would love to see someone be able to salvage it and use it and rescue a machine that's needing parts, rather than it ending up into the scrapyard. So let me know if you can use it. And last item here is a rotary table. And this was something else I picked up from a viewer, uh, Jason. I don't have his last name. I went back through my conversations with me. He reached out to me, I think, on Facebook, and told me that he had acquired this rotary table in a lot in an auction, and it was too big for anything he had. He was going to be, he was from South Carolina. He was going to be in the Atlanta area, in the Macon, Georgia area, not too far from me, a couple of weeks ago. And want to know if I would be interested in it. We ended up doing some trading. I actually traded some straight edges to him for this. And he was happy and I'm happy. This is a Kearney Tracker 16-inch rotary table that will fit on my really two of my Kearney Tracker mill machines. I'm pretty sure it'll fit on my Model 2D. I know it'll fit on my 3H, but very nice rotary table if I ever need it for whatever. Now, one thing that's cool about these this particular rotary table is there is a power takeoff that comes off of it here on the end, similar to my lead attachment from my dividing head for being able to do rotary or helical gears. You could actually connect this to the table, so if you need to cut a spiral, it would be rotating the table as the table was moving. You could tie it all in there. And I don't have the attachments to hook that into either my 3H milling machine or my 2D milling machine, but that was out there, and that is a nice accessory to have. Or you can just crank it in on the front, your angles or whatever. If you were using the automatic, you would use this switch here to engage it and disengage it. Pretty neat little nice rotary table. I haven't used rotary tables a whole lot. Every now and then you need them. I've actually got a smaller one that I have used for a job or two over the years, but this will be nice to have in the arsenal if there's ever a job that comes up. To need it, and knowing that it is a K&T and it'll fit on my machines, and potentially get the parts to cut spirals if I ever need to. And just like that, my table is clean. My counter over here is clean where I pile up my stuff for odds and ends. We've got everything put up where it needs to go in the shop. Everything's nice and clean again, the way I like it. And we can start stacking things up over there for the next episode, which will come at some time in the future when we got enough stuff to put together another odds and end video, coming soon to a YouTube computer screen near you. So there you go, guys. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Those thumbs up and comments are always greatly appreciated. Hit that bell icon up there to get notifications when new videos are posted. Huge thank you to the supporters of the site who support through Patreon and PayPal. I say this every time, but I just cannot mean it enough. It really makes a difference, and it really makes it possible for me to take the time to film things. So if you're in a position where you can help out a little bit, even if it's $1 a month through Patreon, you get enough of the subscribers out there to do that, and you know, it can really make a big difference, and I greatly appreciate it. So if you get value out of the channel, and you are in a position where you can throw even just $1 or $2 a month towards it, it is greatly appreciated. Guys, with that, we're going to catch you on the next video again. As always, thanks for watching.